I suppose I first got interested in the leadership masterclass actually when I was listening to you, Penny, at an offsite that we had, where you said something that really, really hit home. And it was that the best way to truly learn something is to teach it. And all the other forms of learning are great, but actually if you really truly want to internalize it so that it is a living, breathing part of who you are, you have to teach it. Because by teaching it, you have to internalize it to such an extent it becomes natural. And so with that thought in my mind, I decided to go ahead and take the Leadership Masterclass. Not without lots of soul searching, of course, because it is, in my case, it was 2 weeks of time over a period of, I think, 4 weeks. So there was a week, 2 weeks break, and then another week. It was full on. It was an exhausting program. I did it with 3 colleagues of mine, all of whom were highly competitive because they worked for me. They were determined to outshine me, and they did, of course, on virtually every module that we did. But it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience because even though I had been on the PLP program previously, it was only when I did the masterclass that I realized how little of it I'd really understood. And learning the techniques and the tools and thinking about how it makes an impact on one's audience and thinking about it with time to let it wash over you and to try again and get it right the next time was such a powerful way to internalize the core thinking behind the program. I would say it was a very, it was exhausting, it was tiring. We had to work very hard. The preparation for it was not easy. And I say that because no one should go into this program not having prepared for it. You can't swan in and think, well, I'll be able to do this because I'm great at what I do and get away with it, because you won't. If you don't put the work in, you won't get the benefit out. It's the same, I suppose, for any course or program of that sort of nature. It requires effort and investment. However, if you put the effort in, you put the investment in, I was truly amazed at what I got out of it. So it wasn't just learning about the models and the tools and the techniques that we share on the PLP program. It was really understanding how it all joins together, how it makes an impact in the work environment, but equally how it makes an impact in the home environment, and how it makes an impact on you as an individual human being. And it's very powerful. And I know for the 4 of us who did it with an absolutely fantastic facilitator who took us through it, Kirsten, who was magnificent, and has become what I am sure will be a lifelong friend to all of us. The 4 of us as students have something very special as a consequence of having been through the program. Of that, there's no doubt. It's completely revelationary in terms of how you think about yourself, how you learn how to be a better leader, how you identify very quickly those deep flaws you have in your own leadership style, but how you recognize to deal with those, to make choices, to take responsibility, to act, and to move on. The 2 weeks in between, in my case, so I did a week and then 2 weeks and then another week. The 2 weeks in between were an extraordinary time for self-reflection. And I think all of us felt the same. And so when we came back to do the second week, it was even more powerful than the first. And then, of course, you've done all the training, therefore, and then you get to your pilot. And then you have the nerve-wrackingly horrendous task of trying to emulate Penny Ferguson live in front of one's first audience. And fortunately, there's someone in the background to help you with the pilot, which in my case was Kirsten, who was, again, fantastic. And that's a great moment, actually, because you can't help, you'd be abnormal if you weren't nervous beforehand, because you've got all this stuff that you're trying to hold in your head, and your notes and your pens, and you've got, as a man trying to multitask with all these different things going on, it is a double nightmare. But then what happens, of course, what you forget is what you're giving to other people. And so after about 10 minutes, I suddenly realized that what I was giving was being received. And the receipt of it was making an impact. And then I was away. It was fantastic, because I could see the reaction in them was exactly the kind of reaction that I had had the first time I'd been exposed to it. And so the pilot was a joy for me. And I made mistakes, but you're bound to. But that's okay, because the main thrust of it, if you're authentic and true to who you are, and you do your best and try to be the best you can be and live it for them and are present in the moment, it's fantastic. So I would recommend it wholeheartedly. Those who think, oh, I don't need to do it because, I've done the program, I'm there. You haven't a clue about the program until you do the masterclass. And then you do know.